Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast. With me, as always, Tristan, Will, and Ryan. Welcome back, boys, especially Will and Ryan. It's good to have
Yeah.
you guys back. We missed you last week.
Thank
Good
you.
to
Missed
be
you too.
Can you hear that, Jeanu? It's all the women cheering for Ryan and Will to be back. They're screaming in the
Yeah,
masses.
I've used going to go back up now.
I can hear all their fans.
Yeah.
Watch our views go straight back up to 10 million.
What's happening, boys? It's been basically it's been 2 weeks since everyone's seen you now. Since you guys went on last week's episode, what's the gossip? What's the news?
Just tied up with like family stuff. Just went home, visited for a while. Mum kept bribing me to stay back every single night. She's like, "Oh, we're having lobster tonight," and then she's like, "Oh, stay another night. We're also having like scallops and salmon." And she's like, "Oh wait, no," but then we're having oysters the next day, and I'm like, "All right, fine, you got me. I'll stay." So that's pretty much why I missed the podcast. I was just chilling with family, catching up over the weekend and a bit into the week, just like on my midterm break. So spare time, spend time with the family. Haven't seen them in a while, but yeah. Otherwise, everything else is the same.
That sounds
Does it
How
feel
about
like
you, Ryan?
since you moved, like your relationship with your mum or your family's gone like gone stronger since you moved out? Like you
Yeah,
want to see?
definitely. Although I don't see them as often anymore, every time I do see them, I really do cherish my time with them a lot more. Um, but yeah, we've definitely gotten a lot closer. As much as my mum still tries to talk me into moving back, she's like, "Please just move back. We got heaps of food here, and it's free, and you have to pay rent." But I'm like, "Yeah, it's good. I miss my family, but the independence is too good."
Here's an a la carte menu for you, Will, for the week.
If you come back, we'll grow you a truffle farm. But yeah, what about you, Ryan?
I've been pretty busy with uni. I had exams towards the end of last week, so I finished up a couple of them for the block I was finishing up, and I was doing some landscaping and things around the house with Dad, and just sort of there's a few things going. Obviously, worked 4 days last week, so it was just a combination of work, exams, like the uni content and the external content I was doing, and just pretty busy. So I just couldn't really find I could squeeze it in last week, and yeah, just doing things around the house, slowly getting there, laying the concreting soon around the back and sides of the house, get the fence up soon. So
Oh man, he's gonna get a fence finally.
gonna
He's
get a
not gonna
fence
be able
up.
to walk up to the back door.
Sorry,
Not gonna be able to walk up to the back door anymore.
exactly. I can't just walk straight out anymore. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have a fence soon. Pray for Ryan.
Did you get anything in particular that's worth noting this week? Any items, any clothing, for instance?
Oh, I got a student uniform, which I was pretty chuffed to put on. I've actually had that for a couple of weeks. I just hadn't had a chance to get it washed and properly tried on, and yeah, it felt pretty good to wear. It was it's only early days, but it's certainly some level of pride and a bit of excitement to put it on and see how it fits, and fits nice, fits snug.
I'm surprised you haven't barged into the study room just in the uniform, just like coming in and just looking at me.
Nah, that's too many clothes for that. Wearing too many clothes, too many layers.
I
to
see.
do that,
I see.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, that was a cool Snapchat to get, actually. Seeing Ryan full uniform it was kind of hype. It was very Will, you'll understand this. It had very post 2 year Luffy about it. Like he had a new outfit.
The time skip.
Yeah. And I was like, Ryan's just gone through a time skip. He's leveled up. He's moving up in the world.
It's only a student uniform, so can't
It's still
calm your
cool.
farms.
Ah, yeah, it still looks good, man. It still looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good on ya.
Still
Bro, and this
exciting.
guy like when he posted on his story, he's like, I can't wipe the smile off my face, and I'm like, this is both wholesome and also like I wanna just really like insult you right now, but I'm very happy with you.
I was actually expecting a lot more insults, but everyone was there was a lot of positive and overwhelmingly positive messages of support.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It was
The joys overrided the roasts.
yeah.
I can't wait for Jeanu and I to get our teaching outfits, which is just khakis and a sweater vest.
3/4 pants and a polo.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go wear the high vis vest and then just have the bucket hat and then just have the lanyard around my neck as well.
What
Yeah,
were
we're-
those shoes as
Oh,
well?
yeah, Chelsea boots.
The Tigers, any something Tiger.
Oh,
the
On the
Tigers,
Super
yeah.
Tigers.
That's it. Every teacher, mate.
Yeah.
Every
You know, it's
teacher.
funny. Every time I see videos like every teacher at lunch break or whatever, like I laugh and I'm like, this is so true. But then I want to do those things as well, just because it's funny. Like I do it ironically, it'd be fucking hilarious.
But yeah, we get issued one of those as well. I'm so excited for the sweater vest.
That's at graduation, they just hand it to you.
Yeah. Instead of the robe, you get to dress as a teacher, a 56-year-old mathematics teacher.
He gives you a hand me down of one of his ones. He's got like hundreds of them.
It's like a passing of the torch in a sense. Jay, what's been going on? What's your week look like?
Oh, me. Well, I'm on a mid-sem break as well. Especially with
Yeah.
school holidays going on, I'm on a bit of a break. Just been focusing on. I know what I've just been enjoying the weather. Last couple of days, just getting out and about. The weather's been really nice, so just going for walks, going for a picnic. It's definitely been very enjoyable. And then the next week coming up, it's all storming. So
Yeah,
I've
make the
been
most of it.
doing us dirty.
I'm probably a little bit
I'm
sunburned,
not
actually.
doing it.
Yeah,
It's,
other than that, nothing really. I'm on the tail end of my of the course, so not long left until I finish uni. But until then, just trying to relax and just get my mind ready, prepared
How
before I have to
exciting!
lose it.
How exciting!
Yeah. Yourself, Tristan?
Look, I'm on the same vein as you. Actually, I'm on mid-semester breaks. I've been getting out about in the sun. My only issue is my t-shirt tan is getting worse, but I can't balance it out with the courage to wear my basketball tops out.
Just take
But
off
I
your
want-
top, mate. Come on.
I don't want to look like a flog, and I don't want to and I think about it when I'm halfway through like a walk or something, and I'll start doing these ones, and then I'm like,
That's worse.
that looks even
That's
worse.
worse.
Yeah,
Just
just
about
go
love
the
it.
basketball singlet.
Yeah.
I'm
The
waiting.
old
I've
shirts
got my
up.
fingers crossed because it's a big week for me this week. I turned the big 2-6,
Hey.
and I've got my fingers crossed that I can get a Memphis Grizzlies basketball jumper for my birthday, so I can start wearing that out.
Jam around on
Nice.
the back.
Yeah, jar money, my boy. But
Speaking
other than
of
that, that's about it. To be honest with you, just getting out and about, living life. I've been cooking a lot more. Been making some
Ooh.
tasty dishes. Had a few nice kangaroo burger dishes.
I'm still
Uh,
how
waiting
is
for
that
my
going?
jar
How's
of
that?
bolognese.
Are you on that diet or?
No. The diet that's a bit deep to get into. But I've quit from the diet. I've left my mum and my brother on the diet, and I said, I'll show you. I'm going to go to the shops and make my own food with the budget that you would have spent on the diet. And it's been heaps of fun actually cooking for myself. It's very independent. Is it a diet though? I don't know. I'm eating quite a bit and I'm really enjoying the food, so I don't know if it's a diet per se.
Doesn't necessarily mean you can't enjoy a diet. Doesn't
No,
doesn't
that's not what I'm saying. But
torture.
it's not like I'm really concentrating on portion sizes at the
Yeah.
moment because I'm just really enjoying my own food.
What have the family hopped on? Like one of those sort of HelloFresh type.
It's called Dietlicious, and don't get me wrong, it was
Okay.
really tasty. It just wasn't enough food for me.
Were these pre-made meals, or you just got
Yeah.
the ingredients?
No, pre-made.
Okay.
That's why I had to jump ship. Wasn't a fan, and I was missing out on cooking time.
Yeah,
Microwave, just something sad about microwaving a dinner.
yeah.
They do what they want.
I guess that's all it does go into our topic for today.
Yeah, what was that? What was that word we've been using in every podcast, Jeanu?
No, segue, mate.
It's a segue. This is a
Segue.
segue.
You know what? I purposely tried not to use it just then, and then you literally called me out for not saying
No.
it. So now I feel like we have to say it every single time now.
That's
Just
an
that
inside
word.
joke now.
Yeah, my bad.
The segue boys.
It's part of us. So I guess that really segues into our main topic for this week, and that's about just fitness. So obviously we've all had our different experiences with fitness. We've all had different struggles, different questions. We've learned a lot throughout the last couple of years, and I assume we've got lots more to learn. But I guess this episode we're just going to talk about our experience with fitness and what we want to tell others about it, and just really explore that relationship that people have, because it's very complicated. It's a very complicated issue, and it's always around in the media and stuff like that. But everyone's journey is really different, and so with us, of course, we always try to talk about our own experiences, and hopefully that helps someone else that's listening to this as well. So I guess that's what we're going to really focus on and bang on today. You want to kick us off? Anyone? With your experience with fitness?
Do we leave the Adonis to the end? I reckon we leave the Adonis to the end. Are you okay with that,
Adonis.
Ryan?
We can't let him go first because then he'll make us look bad. So I guess
I'm
Yeah,
not okay with being
Please.
called an Adonis, but I'm being okay with left
Sorry.
till the end.
Let me change that to then. Sorry, Zeus, are you happy to wait till the end, Zeus?
He says, yeah.
Hercules.
Yeah. I'm happy to kick it off because mine's a bit funky. Mine's a bit up and down. My journey with fitness and health. Um, Growing up, I was always that kid. I was skinny. I was like that growing up. I was real thin.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I was always that person, that kid, and it's all just metabolism when you think about it. But like
Yeah.
growing metabolism, I found it really hard to put on weight, and it was real difficult. And like, not that I was like dangerously skinny, but if I even wanted to put on weight, couldn't do it. Muscle couldn't do it. Um, got into a couple of things. So when I was young, into martial arts, karate, the sorts, gym here and there, but nothing ever stuck. There was an air of laziness. There was an air of not knowing why I was doing it. I hit a point in my life where I stopped growing. So then it did a 180 on me, and I was like, wow, I can put on weight really easily now. Look at that. It's fantastic. And then I think my biggest point in my fitness journey, and this is not for the podcast, this is not for show, but it was honest to God when I met you boys. Gym to me was just like a go to the gym. Oh, what am I going to do today? I'll do biceps, sure, whatever. Do a couple of things like that. Go home and go, yeah, I'm going to have a protein shake because I went to the gym today, right? And then it turned into very quickly once I met you guys and you guys got me into the gym. It turned into this isn't a quick fix. This isn't a fad diet or a fad thing to get into. This is prepare yourself for the long run. Make sure you love it. And ever since then, we've been going to the gym like the times when we go together, and I've been absolutely loving it. I've been pushing personal bests. I've been learning what it's like to push yourself past those physical limits, especially and I cannot boast high enough. And he knows it's coming already. When you go to the gym with Ryan, it's like getting like a free Arnold Schwarzenegger personal training session. It's just it's such a good mental push. It's great, and it kind of pushes your boundaries a lot, and you kind of learn a lot about yourself. Going, do I like this? Do I not like this? I have hit a point where I am over the gym again, but in a very constructive way. I know myself having a slight bit of ADHD. I can't really do weights because they get boring for me, and I can't really push myself when I'm by myself. So I will be making the transition back to martial arts, which I'm extremely excited about. I just don't know what I'm going into yet. That and basketball. Man, basketball's been so much fun. And I guess that's a kind of skimmed journey for me in terms of fitness and just learning about myself and learning about what's good to chuck in there, what's not good to chuck in there, what it actually takes to go to the gym and why so many people sign up and leave those memberships just running.
Yeah.
They never go, which is pretty cool to learn, especially from you guys. And then learning these little tips and tricks of doing this, doing that. Hey, have you heard of this person? Have you ever tried doing this? Ryan keeps asking me, you should try running. And I say, the only thing I want to run from is this conversation. And no, that's it. But yeah, so I could pass it off to somebody else, but that's more or less my little story.
When did you said earlier that you were skinny back then, and then you had trouble gaining weight, and then all of a sudden that stopped, and then became the opposite.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Like, you just stopped. You said you stopped growing. Is that what you think it was?
I'm assuming that's what it was, but it was also, I think it was a huge lifestyle change when I stopped going to school, stopped walking to school, stopped constantly moving and that kind of stuff.
Play a lot of sport in school as well, high school?
What was that?
Play a lot of sport in high school as well?
Yeah, well, we were always on the soccer pitch. We were always, doing stuff at school. And that's like, you think about it, that's like a couple of hours every day.
Yeah.
And then I used to walk to school and walk home. So that was another, extra bit of time. And then it's turned into, oh man, I'd love to play video games with my friends instead of kind of prioritizing my health. And now I've hit 25, or I'm about to hit 26, and I'm like, wow, I'd really love to play video games instead of prioritizing my health. Now it's changed. But I think that's when it changed for me, was when high school finished. That's when I
Yeah,
started
I
noticing
think a
it.
lot of things happen after high school. Like
Yeah,
maybe not specifically. Everyone's going to be different after high school. Obviously, the life it's probably one of the biggest lifestyle changes that happens for anyone once high school finishes because you got all this free time and you're not sure really what to do. I guess for
yeah.
me, it was kind of different because I was also the same as you. Like when I started, it was just like I was I was very skinny, like very skinny.
Yeah.
Um, and I did find it difficult to gain weight. I found out later that I have hypothyroidism,
Oh,
so that would have been that's probably part of it as well.
what
Um,
is for those playing at home and me? What is that? If you want to
how
share.
do I explain this? Ryan, do you know what it is?
Yeah, if you want me to jump in here, I do
Yeah,
actually
I'll let Ryan
know.
explain it.
Luckily enough, I do actually know
Yeah, that is.
Ryan knows what it
what
is. Yeah,
hypothyroidism. Essentially, it's a endocrinological disorder
Yeah.
where your thyroid produces too much thyroid hormone. And what thyroid hormone does, it's essentially a neurotransmitter or a hormone that facilitates metabolism, like pretty much global or systemic metabolism in your body. So basically, when you have too much of that hormone, you have too much metabolism occurring. Um, and you have basically too much cellular action going on. So you're burning like more calories than what you actually should be. And at face value, many people would think, well, hey, what a great problem to have. But it's actually not. It's actually a pretty terrible.
yeah. There's a lot of symptoms that can build up over time,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
in older people
exactly.
as well.
So people look at it and they're like, hey, I wish I burnt more calories. How good would that be? I could eat
Yeah,
all I wanted. But it's actually like a really, really terrible condition
yeah,
to suffer from. And
yeah. There's actually when I went to the doctors about it, or specialist, they told me he just gave me I just take daily medicine and it's fine. So it's very treatable. However, I remember him saying, "Oh, just make sure you take it daily." And then in my mind, I'm just like why wouldn't I take it daily? And I asked him that, and he's like, "Well, there's some people that actually like do it on like they don't take the medicine on purpose because they think that it's better to have those like symptoms instead."
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but
yeah, because typically in people you'll actually see weight loss because of
yeah,
that increased amount of like that increased metabolism.
yeah,
So
yeah. Some people may really want that, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I didn't know that till recently, maybe last year or so. But in high school, I was really super skinny. And then I think after high school was when first started going to the gym, and that's when I first started seeing really big differences in results. Like I wanted to go here and there. I heard people like talking about the gym and during high school, but I could never. I always thought of excuses of why not to go. I'll just be like, nah, I'm too busy studying when really I'm just playing League of Legends at home anyway.
Yeah.
Um, like stuff like that. And then once high school finished, there was really no more excuse for that anymore. And I guess that's when I can say when I finished already started. And at the same time, there were other friends that were getting into it as well. It was more of a social thing for me at the start. It wasn't really about fitness.
Yeah.
Like obviously I knew I was skinny, but it didn't bother me. Like it never affected my life in that sort of way. But it was more a social thing at the start, and that's not a bad thing because sometimes just getting to the gym is a good start for a lot of people. Um, and then I guess once I really started more consistently, that's when I actually started becoming more interested. Once I learned more about it, that's when I started to really invest in myself. Once you start seeing results, that's when things started clicking for me in terms of why I wanted to go to the gym, and that I found out that I actually enjoyed it. Just that seeing that result, seeing the progress, seeing how much like seeing that effort really translate and correlate to the results is really something that's I guess drove me along for that time. Um, Even looking back, I wish I was even more consistent than I was because there's always lots of things I've learned since then that I wish I knew. Just in terms of like form, diet, calorie intake, all that kind of stuff. Like if I'd known this beginning, then I could have been much further along than I am now. But again, like I wouldn't have known these things if I hadn't started in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's all give or take. Like, but yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey. Like I'm still trying my best to like move forward and progress in terms of my fitness, but sometimes you do feel like you get stuck. Like I know what Tristan means, but sometimes you just get the Tristan gets bored of the gym. I think it's more of a motivation thing because the one thing I learned and I realized a long time ago is that motivation really comes and goes.
Yeah.
And so it's more about being disciplined in what you want to do. And that way you've got no excuse. You wake up every morning, you know that at 9 a.m. every morning you're going to be at the gym. Like motivation there or not, you're going to be there because you're disciplined. And that's the main thing that I learned the most. I really think is important for a lot of people to understand, because people get worried that their motivation will go away, which it will, like 100% it will.
Yeah.
But that building that sort of routine, that discipline, is what keeps you going and makes sure that you're like keeping yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of been my mentality towards it. But obviously with COVID and stuff like that, it's been difficult. But I know as soon as we open up again, I'll be back in there and working hard.
See you there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I'm like, obviously we've still got a long way to go, and I'm hoping to learn more. But especially like gymming with you boys and just training, it's always been really fun, regardless anyway. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it? It's
just being
so
with
cool.
people is good. Yeah, that's why a lot of times I don't even go to the gym by myself. It's good having friends that have the same, I guess, hobby or goals as you as well, because
Yeah.
having them there to push you as well. So I thought something else I kind of learned early on was having someone there that was stronger than me or knew more than me. A lot of the times it intimidates other people, but for me, it always pushed me to go harder.
Yeah.
It's not to say don't ego lift, never ego lift.
Yeah.
But having someone that was stronger than you always pushed me to go that step further, knowing that they were there for me and they got my back, which is always cool.
Can I touch on something you said real quick and turn it into a table discussion? Just because it's a question and it was there. The balance between discipline and goals or goal setting, what do you think that balance is like? So do you think, and obviously this is for all of us, but do you think having a goal in mind versus having discipline, which one's going to weigh up better when it comes down to going to the gym and working your ass off and getting there? Because if you have discipline, that's fantastic because you're going to the gym, but do you ever feel like you don't know if you're going in the right direction without a goal?
Also,
And
I
then-
feel like it goes hand in hand. So
Yeah.
you'll set a goal and you discipline yourself to reach the goal, however long it takes. So, if you have an end result or you want to, you kind of see how you want to be, 2 years in the future.
Yeah.
Then you can set up little goals and stay disciplined and hit all those little goals until you reach the end. So I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand either way.
So you reckon goal setting is equally as important as discipline?
Yeah.
Like there was a time when, obviously I was going to the gym maybe 4 or 5 days a week, right?
Mhm.
And at the time I was like going consistently, but I was really just going through the motions.
Yeah.
Like it was good that I was going, but at the same time I wasn't really working towards anything. And then after that, when I realized that, I set a goal that I wanted to be as strong as I could get. And then once that started, I started a new program, and then that's when that plateau and little like rut that I was in, I got myself out of it. So that's having that goal, really having something to actually physically work for and seeing those results. I think that it makes it easier. It
Yeah.
makes it easier for yourself to be like, yeah, I'm going to be there and do that time because I actually want to see the results. And that's when I got the strongest I've ever been. And then I think, yeah, having the goal is good, especially when you're in a sort of a rut in terms of you're just going through the motions.
Of course.
Yeah.
Ryan, you want to weigh in?
I agree. I think goal setting is definitely an important thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'll probably expand on it a little bit later, but I think more important than goal setting, discipline, motivation, I think the most important thing when it comes to any sort of exercise, and it's taken me a long time to work this out actually, but I think the most important thing is enjoyment. I think
Yeah.
you can throw the rest out the window, to be honest,
Yeah.
in favor of do you or do you not enjoy what you're doing, because that's more important than discipline. You're not going to stay disciplined and you're not going to stay motivated to something you despise doing. If you absolutely despise picking up a barbell, you're never going to develop, I don't think. If you truly don't dislike what you're doing, you're not going to be able to develop that level of discipline for it because you simply don't enjoy it. But if you're someone who just loves hitting the court and playing basketball with your friends every single day, then I think, okay, so this is probably going to shock a few people, but I'm actually not I don't actively recommend the gym to people. I don't actively recommend a specific type of exercise or a particular regimen. Like you've mentioned, like I'll say, have you tried running? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? But like I back okay, so again, I'll expand on this later. But I I think more than I think you're gonna discipline and goal setting will come from doing something that you enjoy, and if you find any sort of physical activity that you do enjoy, um, I think they're just going to happen naturally as you expose yourself more to a particular activity. You're going to learn like this is an example here. Like let's say you started running. Running's an easy example because it's what I'm doing right now and I know it. But when you start running, you're going to start learning what like paces are. You're going to start learning what distances you can do and push yourself to. And you might just start running 300 meters, and then you're going to think, hey, maybe tomorrow I'm going to do 500 meters. So naturally, that's what we do. That's what humans do. We set goals because we want to improve. That's all just going to fall in naturally the more you do something. You start playing basketball more, you're going to start naturally gravitating towards goals like, I want to start hitting more of my 3 points. I want to work on that. I want to work on I want to do like a layup. I want to do on a dunk, blah, blah, blah. You're going to naturally set goals the more you're exposed to a particular sport. No one doesn't continuously do a sport and think to themselves, I don't want to improve at anything.
No, there's a few AFL players that haven't improved. But...
Yeah, that's a good point. But I'm sure they want to improve, though.
I mean, they get paid to improve, and they still don't do it. So
yeah,
it's argument for that there.
But no, I get 100%. I think that's an amazing way. And when I said the question, it wasn't a right or wrong. It was an opinion thing, and I think that was a perfect answer from everybody because it's kind of like I think the foundation of it is balance. Love what you do, but you still got to understand that you got to put in the hard yards.
Yeah.
You still got to understand that you got to be disciplined in it. You still got to understand that you got to have goals. Like, the goals and stuff, like wanting to set goals will come to you if you're enjoying it, but being able to goal set properly is a skill in itself. Being able to kind of get your ass out of bed, even though you love it, is the discipline. So I feel like it all goes, like Will said, hand in hand, and I feel like Ryan couldn't have put it any better.
Yeah.
And we do take the piss quite a bit about Ryan and his running, but if there's one thing I can vouch for, it's that his only recommendation in life, not just gym and physical activity, is do what you love, and that's it. So yeah, I just kind of want to chuck that out there because I feel like that was a really cool thing to delve into, just the difference between discipline, hard work, motivation, happiness. But yeah, carry on with Will.
I think it's like different with everyone though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to have
different with everyone.
depending on how you like. And sorry, just to touch on what Gia said before as well about me getting bored of the gym. I know that's a downfall of me because I get bored of things really quickly. It is like, I'm not actually kidding when I say I've got an element of ADHD. That's one of the downfalls of it. It's constantly getting bored of the slow stuff. So if I'm doing something that's constantly moving, that's where my happiness is. Whereas Ryan's is going for a run, like you said before, running in the rain. That's his kind of therapeutic. G's is the gym, or his League of Legends. It's all just,
Oh, league therapeutic? Oh, I don't know, man.
It gets the heart rate up, so that counts as cardio.
Also gets my blood pressure up.
Yeah.
I've seen Will play League of Legends before. He's actually got Ryan with the blood pressure strap standing next to him.
I've got the IV drips just
on
on deck.
Just making sure.
I actually do have a blood pressure cuff just over there. What a cameo. It's just sitting in front of the TV.
It's our special guest for the day.
Yeah, cameo.
Carry us on with your journey, Will. Tell us about you.
Yeah, I think growing up, I wasn't very... Like, I was pretty skinny as well growing up.
Yeah.
I think it was just from the super high metabolism and me always running around at school. I always played a sport at school, even after school, walking home, walking to school. And then I also did... In primary school, I did soccer after school.
Yeah.
So I played soccer at school and then walked home and I played soccer after school. Then had games on weekends, all of that. But that all stopped because I'm very injury prone. So I kind of ruined my ankle and my parents didn't really take me to the doctors. So, yeah. And so after that, I picked up Taekwondo during high school. That improved my fitness levels by heaps. I think after starting Taekwondo, my cardio fitness just went straight up. Like you can just tell by the beep test, I was just doubling my score from like whatever I've just ever gotten. But all of that still kept me pretty skinny until I stopped Taekwondo and finished year 12. And then after that, yeah, I think that's when my weight gain kind of started. That along with like relationship weight, all of that stuff, just got me pretty like stocky, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I think the heaviest I've been was maybe 82 kilos. And that was just, mid last year. Um, and I've always just been gym here and there with Jeanu and some of the other boys like Eddie Lay, Ed G, or like all of them boys. But back then, I didn't really have a schedule, and I kind of just went, whenever they went. I mean, it's still true to like to this day, to this year. But most of the time, I'd go with Jeanu, and because we're doing the same program, we're going like 4, 6 times a week, just whenever like we're both free. Um, and yeah, like I struggled with a lot of motivation as well, where just me last year or 2 years ago, sometimes if I didn't feel like going, then I'll find excuses to not go. And I think it also had to do with my mental state at the time as well. So it wasn't like very up there as compared to now. And it wasn't until last year's long lockdown where one of my boys, Deanie, shout out to Deanie, let me borrow a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And it pretty much just like maybe halfway through the book, it was just, slapping me across the face, telling me to like stop being a bitch. Like if he can defy the odds, then so can I. And that's where I kind of based my discipline off of. So fast forward to this year, going gym, 4 to 6 times a week with Jeanu, being at my heaviest at 82 kilos at the start of the year, getting to, I wanted to drop to maybe 70 to 73. And me and Jeanu would weigh ourselves every time at the gym. And like, he's trying to gain weight, I'm trying to lose weight. And every time I, lose like 200 grams, I'm like, fuck yes, we're getting there. Until I finally hit that 70, midway through the year. That was one of my biggest achievements. But yeah, like motivation wise, this year, even if I didn't feel like going sometimes, like sometimes Jeanu would want to go like at 8 a.m. or Eddie Lay wants to go at 6 a.m. The more I think about my decision, whether I want to go or not, the more likely I'll say no. So then, once I just, instinctively just say yes, I can't back out of it. Now I have to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have to go, and it's just better for me anyway. But then when I get to the gym, I always like my motivation comes back. I have that energy, and I actually thoroughly enjoy going gym with Jeanu or Lay or whoever else I gym with, like with you guys, like every Tuesdays as well. It's just genuinely fun. Like we're still getting the pump out, but we're always just having laughs, little catch ups here and there in between sets. It's something that I really enjoy. But yeah, that's pretty much been my journey, like in and out of motivation, and then reading a book and improving my mental state, like just overall.
Yeah.
Really good, like really put me in a good space.
Yeah. I'm curious. When you say your cardio improved with Taekwondo, what were you doing that, and this could sound like a dumb question, but what were you doing?
Right. So we did do like quite a bit of cardio during Taekwondo, like just running laps, running up and down, doing burpees, just doing all these different kicking drills, boxing drills. And then usually I would come 2 hours before my class starts.
Yeah.
So I can do sparring with, the higher levels.
Yeah.
Like the higher belt levels, just because I really wanted to compete. And I feel like they gave me an edge, like just sparring with the red and black belts, coming in as a yellow belt, doing it for only like 6 months.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, it was like pretty daunting, but I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed learning and getting better. And sparring for 2 hours straight and then going straight into class is super tiring.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started sparring, I couldn't even last half a round. Usually there's 3 rounds and they last like 2-3 minutes.
Jesus.
I couldn't even last half a round before I get puffed out and, kicked to oblivion, because I'm just literally standing there like, a kicking shield, and they'll just blast me with kicks. But yeah, with everything that I did in Taekwondo, it just improved my fitness overall.
Cool. It's completely different to, not completely different, but it's a bit different to karate, where karate was super methodical. So you do your warm ups, you do your little laps to warm up and stuff like that. But then and you burpees and your little hip training.
Yeah.
But then it all turned methodical. Then it was all about positioning and punching and
Doing all the little kata, like the
yeah,
patterns.
you
Yeah.
do your katas, you do your like all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like, okay, now we're going to do 150 punches in a row, like boxing or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it was
We did heaps of those and kicks.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was curious, because I wanted to know the real difference between the two. So I think karate is very stiff, very methodical, compared to taekwondo. But that is pretty cool. That is pretty interesting.
It was so fun.
Adonis,
Hercules.
Adonis Creed himself.
Kind of put me on the spot here.
Well, you didn't
So
know
I
you were.
suppose my journey with fitness, I was fairly fit when I was younger. Did a bit of cross country in primary school, and I was typical kid, sort of always up and about, running around. I started to get. I did actually get really overweight at one stage. That was sort of in year 7 or year 8, so that would have probably been. Oh, God, 2000. I don't know. Help me out, Gio. Yeah, 2008, 2009. I remember that actually. I got an Xbox for the first time ever. So first ever gaming console, and I got big quick. I would just be
Crash Bandicoot.
the problem was I'd always Crash Bandicoot. I'd always eat tons as a kid, and I had a huge appetite, and that was okay when I was a kid who was just always like I'd always be playing Tiggy, running around the neighborhood, just getting up to usual kid shit, lots of mischief. And you burn a lot of calories doing that. But when I got my first Xbox and I started getting into video games, all that time I would usually spend running about and just being a little shit. I was just glued in front of a TV. So I ballooned up real quick in, I think, year 8's when I started to get really, really big. And I got quite big through high school, and towards sort of year 10, 11, and 12, at my biggest, I was about 120 kilos. So I was morbidly obese at my biggest. I was a big boy. And it was not long. So in year 12, I lost a ton of weight. I suppose just the simple things, just moving more, eating lots of vegetables, drinking lots of water. Really just the basic stuff, I suppose. I shedded a ton of weight. And then after high school, I never really got into gym prior to after I'd finished high school. So I started getting into powerlifting at a gym called Obsidian Strength, which has pretty much changed the direction of my life, I guess. So I got really into strength training, really into gym, did my myotherapy degree, did a bit of strength coaching on the side. Over time, fitness has just became like a bigger and bigger and bigger part of my life. And it's just something I'm really passionate about now. And I think I've learnt a lot. Back in the day, I was very elitist. Like, it was like, no, you have to do strength training for X, Y, Z reasons. And strength training will always be my first love in terms of physical exercise. And it's always going to be my bias in terms of I think a useful intervention for all populations and helping people get stronger physically and mentally. But I understand that exercise is not as simple as that. And people's relationship with exercise isn't as simple as that. So now I'm a huge advocate for just breaking down barriers to exercise in general rather than a particular type of movement or anything like that. That's why I'm actually not particularly big on pushing the gym on people. I prefer to push whatever exercise they enjoy, because at the end of the day, whatever exercise you enjoy is going to be the exercise you're going to continue to do. And we know across the lifespan, where what the evidence tells us is that as long as you're moving and active across the lifespan, it doesn't matter so much what you're doing. It's or that you are doing something. And again, if you're enjoying it, you're going to continue to do it and get that chronic exposure to that exercise. Because like I said, if you hate barbell training, you're not going to barbell train. And I think in a society where most people aren't meeting the minimum recommended physical guidelines, I think in Australia it's about 50%. So it's about half people aren't meeting the aerobic guidelines and half that again for meeting the strength training and aerobic components. So I think in a society where most people are severely undertrained and underexposed to exercise in general, I don't think it's particularly productive to try to get everyone into a gym, particularly when people are very, very different in their interests. And some people like volleyball, or some people like walking, and some people like running. I think the best exercise is well and truly the exercise that someone enjoys.
It's just gospel the way he says it. I just love it. But for those playing at home, we will be delving. There is going to be an episode in the future where we will delve into Ryan's past, and not for anything. Look, I know, Ryan, you're going to be laughing and stuff, but I think from what you've told me, your journey to get to where you are now is nothing short of inspirational.
Yeah, very inspiring.
It's insane. Like like if you, like obviously I'm not going to make you post pictures or anything, but if you guys saw the pictures of Ryan through high school and then you saw pictures of him now, it's a kind of, you see pictures of Chris Hemsworth and you go, man, that guy's got all the time in the world. He gets paid to go to the gym. You look at this picture of Ryan then and now and you go, fuck, it's possible, man. And that's when you either knowingly or not start to gravitate around him. This has turned into the Ryan podcast. When you start to gravitate around him and you go, tell me your secrets, you little Willy Wonka Oompa Loompa man. You're not sure, but tell me the secrets of the chocolate. And
I don't think it's one of those things that happen overnight in terms of mindset changes. I think I've just learned to love being able to push my body to the physical limits. I think that's it. I think that's what's going through my head when I'm like running a marathon or really pushing myself, running hills or something that's like mentally hard. I think I just get a really profound enjoyment out of pushing myself to my physical limits. And I think a lot of people do get that. And a lot of people aren't aware that they enjoy that until they've really done it. And again, half the problem, to be honest, with fitness and I suppose health and wellness in general is the amount of bullshit. The amount of bullshit that's around there because people are told this is the one way. And again, this is people are very dogmatic when it comes to exercise. It's like this is the way you have to exercise. This is what you have to do. Blah 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 blah. People getting up and going for a walk for 20 minutes in the morning is well and truly like that is a huge positive step in the right direction. In terms, like that's considered moderate intensity exercise, like a brisk walk. And again, people aren't even doing the minimum requirements of that. So if you can get up in the morning and go for a 20-minute walk, and you're doing like a remarkable thing, but people will be like, or think that's nothing. And again, they'll compare themselves to someone who went for a run for 40 minutes, and we know that comparison is the thief of joy. I think a lot of people compare themselves to others, and and again, with all the bullshit that's around, people are very misinformed when it comes to fitness.
It is not to make excuses for people, but it is quite overwhelming when you don't know
it's
what
terrible.
you're looking for. It's terrible and it's terrifying. There's an element of the internet's amazing. You can find absolutely anything on there. Except for direct answers in terms of fitness. Like if you look up how to lose weight, you're inundated with intermittent fasting, intuitive eating, calorie counting, macros, this and that. What's the best kind of workout to do?
The problem is
weightlifting.
Where there's money, there's bullshit, and there's someone trying to sell you something. And we live like in today's modern age, there's just such an overabundance. You like how I didn't say society?
Yeah, I'm like, I know why you said that. I know.
Yeah. You know, if you know, you know. I think there's such an overabundance of bullshit. An overabundance of information that people do get overwhelmed. Someone will Google, how do I get into running? And they'll have hundreds of articles they can read and all this, like, this is how you do it. This is the Couch to 5K program that, like, there used to be a time where you could just get up and like intuitively just go for a run if you wanted to try going for a run without chucking on the Garmin and thinking about how far you're going, how fast you're going, what you're doing,
the shoes,
your type of shoes, your step, like your cadence, what type of foot strike you're doing. Like people overcomplicate. Exercise is actually the most simple thing in the world. Like it literally is a matter of just getting your heart rate up, doing something that stimulates you physically and mentally, and that is it. That is as complex as exercise needs to be for most people.
Yeah.
And again, that's where those barriers come in, is people are told that, no, you have to be doing it this way, this way, this way, and if you're not, then you're exercising incorrectly. And there's absolutely no incorrect way to exercise. I would challenge anyone ever to tell me that there is a bad way to exercise, because there isn't. There simply it does not exist. There's no one that doesn't benefit from exercise.
Yeah. And then you see, going back to your celebrities, you see people like The Rock and his Iron Paradise, and you go, he's getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, better set my time for 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you get up hating yourself, going for a run. And it's not about that. Like, I've learned through this lockdown going back to what Ryan said about the 20 minutes of a walk, I'll chuck on my favorite podcasts, which I'm not naming on my podcast.
What do you mean? It's this podcast. You listen to yourself.
Yeah, this is. I just listen to myself, but I get a cut version where it's just me talking. You guys aren't actually in it. It's just all me. It's
Talk
fantastic.
to yourself.
Yeah, I also use that to go to sleep and for other things. But chucking on my headphones and going for a walk, and then coming back after like going for an hour listening to this podcast, and then coming back and sitting down and assessing my mental state and just how I feel. It changes. Like it's unbelievable. And that's where it goes into Ryan saying there's no wrong way to do it. If you want to go to the footy field and go for a kick, if you want to go do push-ups or a little hit circuit, but then the next day you want to go do something completely different, nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely not. I think people are very people get hooked on the perfect way to exercise, and there isn't. The perfect way to exercise is to just exercise. Like that's it. It's as simple as that. Like
I think instead of getting hooked on how to exercise, you should get hooked on exercising. Full stop.
yes. And a lot of exercising happens incidentally. It's that going to the park and having a kick with your mate. Like you don't typically people don't even think about that as exercise, but you're out there, you're moving, you're loading your different body structures, and that's where the money's made. It's that incidental exercise that doesn't even feel like exercise because you just rack that up, and that's what kids are great at doing. Kids are great at doing incidental exercise, and that's why, like people, like I mean, there's an element of metabolism there, but people always say like, "Oh, kids have like a huge metabolism." It's not untrue, but it's also only a very small component of why kids eat like horses and typically stay quite skinny. It's because kids are always incidentally exercising. They're always moving. They're always about. Again, this is not where we're headed in the age of the iPad and the age of computer, but that's another podcast. But typically, kids will be up and about all day, every day. If in an ideal world, they're quite active.
Coming from placement, I can confirm scientifically that kids are injected with crackhead energy when they're born. Because some of those, you see some kids, and when they're out in the playground and stuff, and these kids don't stop. And it's to them, and you boil it down to that foundation that Ryan spoke about before. They're just having fun. Like they could run for that kid that's a little bit bigger could also run for hours nonstop if he's having the time of his life playing footy, tiggy, tag, whatever.
And that's it. And that's because kids don't overthink it because kids are just having fun. And like where an adult would be thinking, like if they're going for a run like a kid would be, they'd be thinking about all these other confounding like things. Like they'd be thinking about their pace, their shoes, their heart rate, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Kids just running for the sake of running to catch up to John, who's trying to catch Alex, who's trying they're not thinking about like, oh, I nearly lost my laptop. They're not thinking about all these different things. They're just having fun doing exercise. Yeah. That's why I'm such a huge proponent of just finding a type of activity that's fun. Like I've had people come up to me and tell me, Ryan, I hate the gym. How do I get motivated in that? And I will straight up tell them, don't go to the gym. Like if you hate the gym, what are you doing? Like you're never going to enjoy doing something that you hate. And I am going to say that there are people that dislike the gym at first and learn to love it because the experiences they've had at gym aren't great experiences, and that's molded their view of the gym. So that there are exceptions to that where people have just had such terrible experiences that they need to be shown a different way, and they begin to love the gym. But the gym's not for everyone. It's a very different environment. And not everyone meshes with the gym environment well. And some people just far prefer to like do things on their own. So they might be, or some people prefer like a team sport where they like that camaraderie and that level like everything that like comes with that.
I'm actually so excited to play volleyball with you.
Yeah.
Once the next season starts.
Yeah. When if we ever get out of lockdown, I've managed to swindle Will into joining our volleyball team, which we made last year, which was good fun.
I think our basketball team's dissolved over lockdown, so see how we go once it opens up again. But I'm guilty of being that person coming to you, Ryan, going, how do you do it? Like, what do I do? What am I doing wrong here that I don't enjoy the gym? And you were the one that said it to me, and you go, if you're not enjoying it, you're not enjoying it. Like, I was going there, I was working my ass off, and I loved going with you boys. That was such a laugh, and it was so entertaining, and it was so much fun. But I'd go home and be like, yeah, I don't know. Like, if I had to go by myself, I definitely wouldn't go.
Hmm.
And then I started to think about it and started to look into, what are the things you love? What are the things, where do you see yourself? What do you want to see yourself as?
Hmm.
And yeah, coincidentally, it was going back to martial arts, and it was just that kind of learning that discipline, that because you've all got your heroes and stuff like that. Like, it was like that kind of like Kobe Bryant, sharp mentality, that Bruce Lee kind of constantly flowing and always wanting to be pushing yourself further. But it's in your own element. It's going to be as well.
Hmm.
It's going to be, and it's going to be for what you want to do, like not for the social eye. Like I was going to the gym because I wanted to lose weight, and I always felt bad because I was a bit bigger than you guys. You know what I mean? In terms of, when I went to Queensland last year, I remember standing on the scale and hitting 100 kegs. I'm not tall, so that's not good. You know what I mean? I hit 100 kegs, and I thought, "Fuck me, this is it. I'm not, I'm not taking a step further over 100 kilograms, right?" And then from there, it's been a slow burn journey to go, okay, I'm going to make sure I stay away from 100 kegs, but at the same time, I'm also not going to be a twig. Like, I'm not gonna be able to walk around looking like Mason Cox, for those listening at home that know footy. That looks like the Slender Man or something. I'm always going to be a bigger kind of person. I just don't have to hate it, and I don't have to hate the body that I'm in. As long as I'm staying fit, staying healthy, what I look like doesn't matter. But I think that's that's stops a lot of people as well. Is that perfect body type? If I'm bald, I should look like The Rock. You know what I mean? Or that Jason Statham kind of, like, where you got to kind of break out of that thought process of what is society meant to make you look like.
Yeah,
If that sentence made sense.
it's a lot of body image stuff. It's just
Yeah, body
that
image
plays a part into it as well. Like,
Yeah.
again, like you guys both touched on it earlier in terms of the internet. First of all, just being inundated with all this information, and then not just that, like all this body image stuff as well, which really
Yeah.
affects us whether we know it or not. Like, it just places these expectations in our head about how we should look, or how men should look, how women should look. But again, it's just always about like question. I guess I wouldn't say be a skeptic, but just question everything. Why is this? Why are you being shown this? Why is this the way
Yeah.
that things need to be? Like, it's
Well,
not.
yeah, I know. I think that's a good attitude to have. I don't think it's healthy to be skeptical of everything, but I think when it comes to health and fitness, you should always ask yourself firstly, who is this person? What are their credentials? And then what are they trying to sell me?
Yeah. What
Are
reason
they
do they
trying
have
to
to give
sell
you
me
this information?
something?
Like, yeah,
And what are they trying to sell me? Are they trying to sell me a lifestyle? Are they trying to sell me a particular product? Are they making money if I believe the narrative that they're selling? Because
Yeah.
that's a very, very quick, surefire way to just weed out the bullshit and the people who are looking to give genuine health promoting advice. Because it's few
Yeah.
and far between
Yeah.
on the internet. Because there's a lot of people that make their money from selling you an ideal or like a product. You're being sold a product rather than a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that we have to do that extra step in terms of being able to analyze and critically look at information that we get, but it's just something that we have to do in this day and age. Where
Yeah.
we just have to like really think about why this person is trying to give us this information, because everyone's got their own agenda a lot of the times.
I think it's about where we look for information as well. If we're looking for information regarding health and fitness on YouTube, you have to remember that that's a fairly, as far as like moderating the quality of information that's put out on a platform like YouTube, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's not like you're reading a
Published medical
physiology or a health
journal.
textbook
Yeah.
that is explaining how a particular like physiological process works. You're hearing it delivered from a person, from a video, wherein you're just having to essentially trust that what they're telling you is true.
Yeah. And to touch on that as well, the I say that a lot, don't I? To touch on that.
Stop touching things,
Segue.
Ray. Touching things, Ray.
You're a very touchy man.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm very touchy. These social media kind of influencers and stuff like that. The second you kind of start being more comfortable in your own mind and asking those questions, you you see through it. And look, I follow a couple of people who I truly believe are happy the way they are. And yes, coincidentally, they also look like a fucking 10 out of 10. Sure, but that's a small handful. The rest, I can almost guarantee that they'll pose, they'll put on all their makeup and they'll pose, and guys will do it as well, fix all their hair and stuff. They'll pose, they'll take the picture, keep working their ass off, and then go home not being happy with their lives because that's not what they want to be doing. Do you know what I mean? Like and it kind of put that into your own perspective, and you kind of sit there and go, well, I'd much rather be happy than, I mean, I wouldn't say look like Chris Hemsworth because I'd much rather be upset and look like Chris Hemsworth. But, and then it all goes back to that same foundation, that same basic foundation of just do what makes you happy and you will get there.
Mm.
But taking the path of, this is so enlightening, taking the path of happiness
I
is
think
going to
it's
get you there a lot better.
finding the balance in between the two.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very easy to go one way or the other. You can go down the way of, I want to push myself for XYZ reasons. And like you said, you end up as someone who's just feels like they're never good enough. But I think you can, on the other end of the spectrum, I think there's a lot of people that don't actually push themselves hard enough and suffer from that in the sense that they may not actually be in good physical health, but they convince themselves otherwise. I think both ends are really unhealthy attitudes to have. About. I don't think everyone has to be like Olympians or comparing themselves to the elite, but I also think that a lot of people will benefit from pushing themselves a little bit harder, a little bit exposing themselves to a little bit more adversity than they do in their daily life. I think there's very few people that wouldn't stand to benefit in terms of their career, not just their physical health, but their career, their mindset, from actually pushing themselves a little bit further rather than just saying, you know what, I'm like, I won't push, I won't do this particular activity.
Yeah, like I'm content where I am.
Yeah, I'm content. Yeah, sometimes like the enemy is being content as well. I don't think there's a perfect scale for it, but
yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's just about going out there and just having a go at things. Like, obviously, you're not going to find what you enjoy straight away. Like with Tristan, like he tried the gym. At least then he found out that it wasn't for him. Like, but he wouldn't have known that if he didn't try. I'm assuming. Like,
and it's that mindset, having that open mindset. And this, when we have a mental health podcast or something about anxiety and depression, this is going to be a huge point I'm going to make. Having that mental state of, this doesn't work for me and that's okay, and then moving on to the next thing, having that open mind is such a big weapon to have in your arsenal, to be able to kind of go, okay, the gym wasn't for me and that's okay. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm upset I can't go to the gym with the boys, but it's not like I'll never see them again, but I'm not going to freak out because it's like, oh my God, if the gym's not for me, what am I going to do? What can I do? What do I like? Who am I? And then going into that little spiral, it's that kind of like, okay, let's be a bit cruisy about it. Not, too cruisy that you start jumping over things. That's where that balance comes in that Ryan spoke about. But just going, okay, I've really given it a massive crack and it's really not for me. Let's move on to the next thing. I think that's super, super important. But
yeah, folks, just get out there, give things a go. Tell us what you try out in the comments.
Yeah, let us know if there's any crazy stuff that you guys, or what your secrets are in terms of getting yourself out of bed, or if you have any little tactics or tips.
You said that before,
start skateboarding soon.
The morning thing, the getting out of bed. Like I would love to be a morning person, but I can never do it. Like ever.
Yeah, I don't think going back to that personality trait, I think morning people and night people don't exist. I think if you've got something to get out of bed for, you'll get out of bed for
it. It'll just be a bit delayed, but yeah.
Yeah, but having that mindset of, I am not a morning person.
I think you typically have a better morning when you're not up till 1 a.m. playing League of Legends with.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I know you're not talking to me, yeah?
Getting up after getting clapped on League at 1 a.m. at 6 a.m.
Maybe if you'd carry me, then I wouldn't have to stay up so late. God damn
Hey,
it.
what are you up to tonight, Jay? I've got to finish my assignment at 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't you do it the next day? Nah, bro, I can't. I've got to do it at 4:30 in the morning, but I'm going to stay up all the way through.
Just so you know, I got HDs on both assignments, so
Well, congratulations, but I feel like you could have gotten HDs plus a good night's sleep.
I don't know, man. I think it's one or the other, I'm pretty sure.
That's the thing.
I'm pretty sure there's been like actual studies done on this on new students, so
Yeah. That's
that it has to be done. Pressures, diamond, something about pressure and diamonds.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
Something about pressure and diamonds. You heard it here first. Get that tattooed on your back.
Yeah.
But,
What's that saying, right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah. Any advice to go out on would just be try new things, and if you don't enjoy the type of exercise you're doing, whether it be the gym or any other example, don't force yourself through it, and don't continuously keep doing something you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Find something you do enjoy, because there's way too many people that are doing that because they feel like they've been sold this narrative where they have to be doing a particular thing for a perceived benefit, where your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and the two are typically hand in hand. If you can find something that stimulates you physically and mentally, then you're just going to be better off.
Yeah. No one knows yourself better than you do.
Go on, Joe.
Well, I was just saying that no one really knows yourself better than you do. Like, if you know you don't like it, then
and that's the way
you can't tell you to like it. It's on you. Like only you know that.
And everywhere has 7-day free trials. If there's that gym that you keep driving past, there you go. I wonder what that's like. Just stick your head in. Just go in, just bite the bullet and go, you know what? I'll give it a week. Give it a week, give it a real red hot crack, and then assess your options from there. That's my We're not saying go do bungee jumping or go freehand rock climbing.
I mean, if you like it, but
I mean, yeah, obviously, but still.
Stay safe.
I'm dying to try rock climbing. I'm so eager to try
bouldering. You should do some bouldering.
Yeah, sorry, bouldering. That's what I wanted to try.
What's the difference?
Bouldering's indoor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of rock climbers utilize bouldering as part of their training because it's very easy. Like, it's obviously more accessible, but I do want to try bouldering.
Welcome back to the bouldering podcast.
We've got Tristan with a boulder on the left and a boulder on the right.
Yeah, that's it.
About those shoulders.
The only boulder I've got is here.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite funny, but anyway. You guys then, Jesus.
Anyway,
tough ground.
The studio.
I'm gonna put in the fake laughter for you, Tristan. As well.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my first and only edit.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I get the audience clap and go. Let's just clap.
You gonna finish us off, Joe?
What's that?
Finish us off?
Yeah, I guess we'll just close it off there. Thanks everyone again for listening. I really hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And again, just go out and try something new.
That's it. Let us know if you've tried something new and what your experience.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Someone come skateboarding with me, please.
And I might add, none of us, by no means are any of us experts when it comes to physical exercise.
I think that's implied, don't I?
But if you do actually have any legitimate questions, field them to any one of us and we'll try to get back to you.
Because I'll just send them to Ryan.
We'll forward that to Ryan. Anything you want to know, we'll forward you to Ryan.
The Adonis himself.
Oh, okay.
We do know people that are professionals, so let us know and we can ask them and get back to you.
We are not financial advisors.
We are not, no. No. But if you want to send us money, that's okay.
But don't. Patreon. Maybe we'll do a Patreon. We'll do that.
Patreon.
And
Once we bring up our merch.
You can get episodes about 2 hours earlier when we directly message you on Facebook. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for listening. We'll sign off here. That was a bit different.
Code word is Bungaloo.
Bugaloo.